And now, with the coming presidential election in February, iBrandTV takes a look at economic indices and the possibility of a quick fix for the state of Nigeria economy as Buhari administration draws to a close. Now, the question is, are there hopes of improvement in the economic indices which experts have described as comatose with regards to growing the GDP of the country? Well, these are some of the issues we have to interrogate now in this conversation. Well, in the meantime, Nigeria is still grappling with many macroeconomic challenges, including forex shortage, energy cost, among other issues. Well, for more analysis now, Sumbo Badejoko is a policy and public affairs analyst. He joins us virtually now. Thank you for your time, Mr. Sumbo. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Yes. Yeah, good morning. So let's quickly look at some economic indices ahead, the 2023 presidential poll. First, there is the current headline inflation, which of course is at 21.47%. And you know food inflation is more than 23, going to 24% amid contracting GDP figure of 2.25% in the third quarter of last year from around 5 years ago. So how concerned are you with these figures, seeing that the election is around the corner, heralding the end of the this current regime?
Well, the current situation is actually the cause for concern to anybody who is a Nigerian and who resides here. The figures are not really favorable, and it gives a cause of concern. And it makes people to be more interested in whom the next president will be. And that is why you see the debate and the campaign going on taking a very intense dimension, because everybody is interested in knowing what is the economic agenda of these individuals that wants to really govern the nation, because the whole thing is so messed up at the moment. And of course, we can always link the reasons to insecurity, to corruption, to leakages in government, to inactions of the current government to take certain critical decisions. So all these things are a combination of what the next government will have to look into and be very aggressive about. So these are things that Nigerians are looking at, and it's something that is making the debate to be very, very interesting. And of course, everybody is on the lookout. We all have what each individual has what they have. But one common factor is a better life for the nation, and whatever policy that will guarantee that, whichever candidate is bringing that to the table is the one that is likely to be victorious at the end of the day.
Now, we talk about inflation at 21%. That's the headline inflation. You've not even that's excluding of food inflation. And also look at the unemployment rate at over 33%. The exchange rate is also gone high. Yeah, let's look at all of these issues. The current administration has less than 4 months to go in the office. To the end of his regime currently. Do you see any improvement really in these figures? Yes, the figures are not favorable, but can we get an improvement? Are there hopes of improving these figures before the end of this administration?
It is very difficult to really conclude on that. And the reason is because the government is making efforts. But the economy is not just a government affair. Government is to give policy direction. But private individuals play a major role. And what we have now is a lot of them slowing down, not knowing who would actually come victorious in the election, because that is the government that will actually play a major role in bringing down. For instance, we have the subsidy regime, which is part of what is crippling the economy. And the government has come out to say that, well, for now, they will have to keep subsidy in place until June this year. And by June this year, you and I both know that there is a new government that will be in place. So that's why I said a lot of things are slowing down. Yes,
Hello, Sumbo. Problem or challenges with Sumba Badejiko, trying to look at what the coming administration may inherit from this current government, especially with regards to the subsidy removal, which has been slated for June this year. That means if you have new administration, you will have to be contending or perhaps see how they can remove it. But the question is, can they even address that when they come into office? Yeah, I needed to continue on that thought with regards to what the coming administration may inherit from this administration. Talk to us.
Of course, they will inherit a subsidy regime. And there's none of them that will come up that will not remove the subsidy. They've all said it individually, and it's obvious now that the next...
Yes, it's obvious now that the next president will definitely remove it. But, okay, let's move and talk about some of the challenges that may face, not only the subsidy now, but we talk about the unemployment rate, which has gone high as well. We talk about inflation rate. Remember, the central bank had to review the lending rate so as to tame inflation, but it looks like that is not having a significant impact on intended action, as it were. And so, talk to us. How well do you think these candidates are speaking to these issues?
Well, as far as I know, they are all speaking to the issues because it's something that they cannot hide away from. So they are all speaking to the issue. The only area where I have concern is that they are not really coming out plain as to giving us specific in terms of how they intend to combat these challenges. Now, we've already established that any of them that come upward will definitely remove subsidy. Right. But what will be the alternative to subsidy?
That's the big question.
They have not really been telling us that.
That's the biggest question.
In terms of combating the... combating the unemployment.
You were making a point, and what could be an alternative to subsidy, and that's why I said that's a big question, really. Yes, talk.
Yes, that's what they have not really come to say. Now, if they inherit the food inflation that is at that level, the immediate thing they can do is to maybe first of all divert the subsidy money to kind of subsidize food items, so that people would be spending more on survival. Then they can now use that window period to put critical infrastructure in place to secure the country so that private sector can come in. It is when you have security in place, that is when there will be investment opportunity for having people to, we have investment opportunity, but insecurity is driving that to the back. But when you secure the country, investors will come in and take advantage of the opportunities. And in the process, they will create jobs. Then the other area of unemployment which they have to tackle is to improve on our human capital development. There are so many, the university curriculum, for instance, need to be reviewed to cater for the current demand within the sectors of all the economy, because there are some jobs that locally trained graduates could not really take because they do not have the requisite skill to be admitted into those jobs. So there has to be an improvement in that area so that we will not be having what we call capital flight. People, you have to be sourcing for expert rates for jobs that we could have people that are qualified here. Then also, we need to really improve on the other sectors like the agriculture. There has to be a revolution in that sector. Agriculture alone has the capacity or the potentials to create as much as 100 million jobs, if I may use that word. I'm not exaggerating, because by the time we begin to come down the value chain, so many employment opportunities will be opened down the line. So the new government would need to really have a clear-cut agenda of how they would revamp the agriculture, explore the value chain, and diversify the economy using the agriculture as a base.
Now, you talk about how that they should revamp the agric sector, I mean, especially with regards to the value chain so as to employ more. According to the latest report by the NBS, Nigeria at the moment has around 133 million Nigerians who are multidimensionally poor. And of course, that's a concern as well for the incoming administration. Yes, you talk about unemployment, and perhaps this poverty or those within this category or this class of poverty are products of unemployment or the high rate of unemployment in the country as well. This, of course, is an issue that the incoming administration will have to look at as well. So, but what are the alternatives here? Because if the government, it's going to be an issue, but like a lot of people have spoken about that, and of course you yourself, you've told that line that this cannot happen overnight. It's going to be like a burden for the incoming administration. But for the incoming administration, what can they do in the immediate? And perhaps they should start speaking, to those issues now. Let's see clearly what they are bringing on the table with regards to reducing the high rate of poverty, and of course to taking people out of the street as well.
But they have to find a way to begin to subsidize the utility, because it is the cost of utility that has thrown more people into the poverty pool.
Yes, Mr. Sumbo. Well, we're still having issues connecting with Mr. Sumbo, hearing him there. But if you can hear me, yes, of course, I would like to hear what you have to say there. How does that happen? How can they make that happen? Yes, continue, please.
Yes, I was saying that the new administration would have to look at the area of utility. How do you bring down the prices of commodities, the consumables that people make use of on a daily basis? How does the law?
Hello, Sumbo. Yes, please continue. Go ahead, please. Well, I guess still the same issues up there. How do you bring more people into the labor market, empower them? And he was talking about the cost of utility. The reason why you have more people within the poverty circle, it's because of the cost of utility. So it means that some people do not have the power. All right, the purchasing power is not there to afford some of these utilities. But is that the reason alone? Go ahead. Hello, Mr. Asimbo. Well, I think we also need to look at the issue of Forex as well. The foreign exchange market, the volatility, and of course the disparities in the exchange rate. The gap there is also very high. Yes, before we get into this, this conversation the point I just raised now about the Forex market, please conclude on your thought as regards to reducing the cost of utility or empowering Nigerians to be able to afford more.
Yeah, they have to, because what has led to this is the inflation that is increasing and is not coming down. Now, when the implication of this high cost of item is this: the minimum wage has been at 30,000 for the past 5 years or 6 years or thereabouts, and between then and now, prices of commodities have increased by 150%. Which means we are supposed to be having a minimum wage of 65,000 naira now. That is what will keep people above the poverty line. But they have all gone down because the value of what the currency or the wage they are earning has gone down, has reduced drastically. And that's cut across all sectors. The only sector that is the only group of people that are not affected are the self-employed people. Even they themselves have to combat with the issue of logistics and cost of production. which is where the next point we want to raise. The forex is really a major concern.
Okay, I want us to wrap it up now. Yes, let's wrap it up with these. The salary, of course, the federal government spoke recently about review on the salary. Would that address, the problem currently with the regards to, low purchasing power of average Nigerian? And if that is true, how about those who will operate in the informal sector, for instance, those who don't work for the government, who work in the private sector, and those who are doing menial jobs, perhaps small business as well, or micro businesses within the street?
It is not the review of the salary per se that would unilaterally address the problem. As they review the salary, they also need to put measures in place to bring down the cost of production, fix the refineries, let there be power, let there be good roads, let the rail network be functional, secure the country. By the time you put all these things in place, the economy will be competitive enough to give us a reasonable price for every commodity.
All right.
And that would make people, make it affordable for people to now, and it will improve the overall standard of living of every individual.
Okay. I think we should leave it there. Thank you so much, Sumbo Badejoko, Policy and Public Affairs Analyst. We appreciate your time with us on Business Breakfast.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Have a great day. Still to come after the break, Brent futures for March delivery fell 16 cents to $79.49 a barrel in early trade. Well, that's a focus next when we return from this break. Please stay with us.